Hello, ladies and gents. I am your host, the one and only ButterGod, and I'm here today to cast the quarterfinal matches for Pool C of the Uber's UU Draft League. So I'm just gonna make my way down for these games down the list. We're gonna start off with my boy King versus my other boy Ruben. The winner of that will face the winner of Nimad or Nemad versus Icy Scream. Then, moving on to the other side of the bracket, we see Oceanic versus Toast. And then we're going to end off that game, or end off this week, with Portobello versus Steel as our match of the week. Everyone here has done an incredible job to make it to the playoffs, and even most of those who didn't did a great job. All of these coaches should be incredibly proud of their performances. So, let's go take a look at our first game. Hello, ladies and gents. This is our first game of the week. King versus Ruben. Both very scary players. Ruben actually being the only player in the entire pool to be able to take down King during the main season. And this is just a very scary matchup for King because he's already lost it once. I'd like a little story for those unaware. King had a party the night before. So he was not playing his best today, but several times throughout this game, nothing really mattered because King was just the main character here and got absolutely bloody perfect RNG. He crit so many darn times. You couldn't help but feel bad for Ruben. Even Ruben, or even King, explained, yeah, he needed the luck to win, but King did make very good plays for the rest of the season. It is sad to see Ruben go like that, but my boy King is moving on to the semifinals. We now go on to our second match so far with Nemad versus Icy Scream. And honestly, this play right here is what set the pace for the entire match of just being able to roar out that fortress and just get so much work done with this Zamazenta. Nemad had a very bulky team that could have in theory stopped this team, but just this play right here of losing the Gastrodon early, making him not have a power fin switch in. Overall, he just kind of he took a lot of damage here unnecessarily. His Fortress is gone, his Heracross is gone, his Mewtwo is at 4% versus a Palafin. After this, it was just the game was over, and it was a very clean victory for the one and only Icy Scream. Now we go on to our third game of this week with Oceanic versus Toast probably. And Toast pulled out the Mon that's been doing absolutely incredible in every matchup so far. A completely underrated Mon, the one and only Baxcalibur, doing work time after time. Made a deal with Ocean not to say anything right here, but yeah. So yeah, there was just so much work was done right there by the one and only Baxcalibur. Eviolite Morgrim over Light Clay is a bit iffy, honestly, in my mind. That's something Toast could have done a bit differently. But just after all that, there wasn't much left for Oceanic. He just lost so much to the Baxcalibur, leaving him just dying to this King Gambit. Well played by Oceanic. He had a great season. He did an incredible job throughout it, but this is his end. And Toast moves on to the semi-finals. Ladies and gents, we have arrived at our match of the week for Pool C. Steel versus Porto. Two very good players. Steel with just a very strong team. Honestly, I recognize parts of it from my own team, just the Lando Palkio, two very destructive Mons. And that, of course, Sizzler, also absolutely disgusting. Mousehold and Cerulege are both terrifying sweepers, while Tinkaton, Glowking, Sableye, and Nasselstack are all fantastic support mons. Nasselstack, of course, is particularly disgusting just because of Purifying Salt, Eviolite, Salt Gear, absolutely disgusting mon. and Vault with Sticky Webs for Glastrier support, or Trick Room. You could do Trick Room with Chillwave Reception, Glow King, and Glastrier A. You could do so many things with Steel's team, but we're going to take another look at that after a second, after addressing Porto's team. Again, parts of it I recognize from my own team. My first 4 picks are in the top 4 mons on this page. Kind of interesting. Magirna, Giratina, very strong defensive core. It is incredibly hard to break those. And of course, Glow King, the bulky water to support it. Espathra, Mienshao, Thunderous, all incredibly powerful breakers, with Swalot, Sandslash, and Necrozma being his Terra captains. Who decided Necrozma can Terra? The Terra, I don't know, but King really wishes it was his and is not going to stop bringing it up. So, I'm looking at this side, for the side of Steel, things that are obviously coming almost certainly will bring that Lando. Lando's such a great mon. Nassel Stack's also probably coming because it's fantastically proven itself here throughout the weeks. And there's a big problem with Steel's team that people tend to notice, or not Steel, Porto's team, that people tend to notice, is he has no Ghost Resist, like at all, and he has 5 Ghost Weak mons. So, Cerulege can go incredibly hard this week. If it's allowed a Swords Dance, it may just end the game. Terra Dark Swalot is potentially his only chance at stopping that. And then besides that, just overall incredibly disgusting mons on the side of Steel. Over on Porto's side, things I'm looking at are there's a lack of a good ice ground, so resist to ice and ground, so Sandslash the Terra Ground might be able to go quite hard here. Necrozma is always a versatile mon, just like Magirna. I don't know how much I like the Magirna in the face of Cerulege, Lando, and Palkia, all very decent checks at it. Scizor, a great way to stop a lot of these mons, just Bullet Punch. Mienshao doesn't like it. A Thunderous can easily be finished off by it. So, lots of scary picks all around. So let's take a look at how the actual teams look. Nothing too surprising. Sableye is a bit questionable in my mind, but I can understand why he'd want it. Just pranks to support, maybe a Will-O-Wisp on any mon that's getting particularly out of hand. But looking over at Porto's side, he's only really got 2 physical attackers of Sandslash and maybe Necrozma. Now, if Sandslash, Necrozma, and Thunderous fall, the last 3 of Porto's mons might not be able to kill things. But we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. And then on the side of Steel, Cerulege really scary, Scizor really scary, Nassel Stack really scary. This can be a bloody fantastic game. Now, Landorus versus literally Satan. A good Will-O-Wisp early gets almost all of Landorus' damage just out of play. And a taunt doesn't seem to matter. He gets a U-turn, could have done 4% if it wasn't burned. Terra Fairy still takes a ton from the Flash Cannon, but he gets that Salt Cure on Mag, and Mag famously misses recovery, which makes it a quite weak wall in these games. Fantastic predict by Steel, getting the Volt Switch and the extra 25% for Salt Cure, bringing down Magirna to 1%, and I don't know why he sacked it there, honestly. Bit iffy, but whatever. Thunderous comes in. Thunderous terrifying. Stone Edge does 44, good chunk, but then tragedy strikes. A flinch happens on the Dark Pulse. And because of that, Thunderous is able to kill Landorus, and still has a ton of power in the back. Now, Thunderous is actually kind of a slow mon, so Palkia runs past it. Clean Chilly Reception, clean gameplay we're seeing, just catching up a little bit. So, Chilly Reception, he was able to pivot around perfectly. Fantastic pivots, getting Thunderous in and destroying that Sableye. Sableye did absolutely nothing this game. Bullet Punch Scizor, I love it. Now, 33% Steel Neutrality. Or Steel Neutrality, Snow damage resistance, so without that, it loses a good chunk. And the crit. Now, I think that crit mattered. I can't tell you with 100% certainty, but Scizor is a very high physical defense mon. Cerulege comes in, very scary mon, gets a Shadow Sneak off, does 18%, and then switches over to Nassel Stack, tank the Hex. Recover, just keeping Nassau Stack alive is how he wins this game, so he's gonna do that. Sorry, forgive me, technical difficulties, we're continuing from a pause. So, Nassau Stack, 87%, Slowking's coming in. Most of both teams are really low. Cerulege can still get, Cerulege has revealed Shadow Sneak. I don't think Sandslash can be able to do anything this game with what it has left. So it's really going to come down to Cerulege and Palkia versus Necrozma, Giratina. I don't know how much I like the Giratina here, honestly. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to do all that much. And just continuing the curse up. He might not be able to break it. He gets a good Salt Cure on the Giratina, just doing 25%, and roars it out. It's very scary Mon that, Cerulege's forces Giratina out. But he does die to a, Life Orb Recoil. Now, immediately brings in the Cerulege. Kind of a risky play. If it set up a Meteor Beam, that was game over. But it's just going on. So we see some very cool setup wars here. This is a double dance Necrozma. Dino is shaking in his boots. It's a bit lucky on the roll there. Doesn't die to the second Poltergeist. And Steel realizes he has to change it up. He goes for another Swords Dance on the second Morning Sun. He is not going to Oko right here, so he needs to get lucky to keep hitting these 90% accurate moves. Stored Power just barely doesn't kill. Yes, it was a roll, but you know what? He crit the Sizzle earlier, so I'll allow it. Bitter Blade heals back up. Great job. Finishes off one Mon, and he has no Ghost Resist left. Shadow Sneak and the Shadow Sneak and the Shadow Sneak ends the game. Well done by Steel. So, let's take a look at the end of week standings. King goes on to face Icy in the semifinals, which is a game that, for me, is happening tomorrow. And you'll all get to see that in a week. Or hopefully. It's going to be a very exciting match. Both very good players. And then on the lower side of the bracket, we see Toast versus Steel. Toast, very good player. He goes great with Butter. I'm sorry. And then Steel, of course, as we've proven time and time again, has very scary team, a lot of offensive power, a lot of defensive power. It is going to be a clash of the Titans down there, and we're going to have to see where things go. But if I have to give one Mon of the week, I'm going to have to say Toast's Baxcalibur for just being able to survive the hits when it was needed and kill anything that stood in its way. Well done by Toast. Well done by everyone who's moved on. And I'm super excited to see how all of these players, and all the ones who are out even by now, perform in Season 2 of the LLL. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.